Okay. We'll call the meeting of the Pawtucket School Committee to order at 6:30. Ms. Leslie, please take a roll call.
Ms. Pinello. Here.
Mr. Charbonneau.
Here.
Ms. Grant.
Here.
Mr. Knight.
Here.
Mr. Larby.
Here.
Mr. Moreno.
Here.
Ms. Doobie.
Here. Will you please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on our agenda is special report of student representatives. Do we have someone here from Charles E. Shea High School?
Hello, everyone. The sophomore class is raffling off a holiday basket full of great prizes like Dunkin' Donuts gift cards, candles, and candy, and will announce winners Monday, December 20th. Sophomore class received their class gear. The seniors and the sophomores battled it out in our Battle of the Classes on December 2nd in the gym. Every contestant gave their all as the crowd wildly cheered them on. They competed in games such as Dizzy Bat, giving the crowd a great laugh. We'd like to thank Ms. Chella and Ms. Borden in the junior class for putting it all together. Many colleges and universities visited our students and gave presentations on their many programs and opportunities. Our principal, Dr. Ash, is bringing a Girls Future Firefighters Camp to Pawtucket in the spring. The camp trains girls to be public We held a food drive and were able to feed 11 families and donate 140 plus pieces of to a local food bank. We made 12 blankets in which we will be donating to shelters, and we raised $213 for UNICEF. The money will go toward Haiti for water purification. Upward Bound extended their application to allow more students to join. The Upward Bound program is an incredible opportunity from the Rhode Island College, and we are proud for our many great sophomores, juniors, and seniors that are a part of it. The student council will be finalizing their officers this Wednesday. And in sports news, the boys track team competed in the first JV meet of the season. The boys basketball team successfully defeated their Donaldson Lynch championship Saturday night, defeating crosstown rival St. Ray's. Players and coaches would like to thank all the students that came and cheered for the Raiders. We invite everyone to show up tonight for our first league game at home at 6:30. Also, we would like to congratulate the Shulman girls team for their championship. The boys basketball team won their first game of the season on December 9th. Malik Matami had 12 points, Joey Reyes Serrano had 15 points, and Isaac Otuga had scored a basket with 3 seconds left, giving the Raiders a 2-point win over crosstown rivals Tillman. Here's a list of season awards on our sports teams. All Division First Team, Zion Duarte, Bernard Parsons, and Milton Semedo. All Division Second Team, JDL Diaz, Luis Santos, and Deshaun Owls. All Division Third Team, Dylan Sheehan and David Case. Allison Sullivan won the Perseverance Award, along with Emily Lopes. All Academic Award went to Yassine Gassama with her 4.2 GPA. And we'd like to say congrats to all of our Raiders. And that would be all of our news this month. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Is there a representative here from William E. Tillman High School?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Johnny Perez, if any of you remember me, and I'm a senior at Tillman High. So I'm excited to share some highlights regarding the month. So to begin with, our physical education teacher, Mr. Murray, organized a dodgeball tournament on November 17th. All proceeds, approximately $300, were donated to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Another big thing was that the Tillman football team won the Thanksgiving Classic on November 24th against Shea, and the final score was 20-7. The following fall athletes were selected to the first team all-division for their respective sports. Those student athletes are Elijah Osei, Devin Ward, Michael Chie, Ali Kabli, Guy Gamba for football, Darius Davis for boys soccer, and Daniela Escudero for girls volleyball. Underclassmen pictures were taken on November 30th. Senior pictures were taken on the 1st, and a makeup day is currently being scheduled. The Tillman Band and Chorus participated in Pawtucket's Winter Wonderland on December 4th at Slater Park. The band led the parade down to the carousel, where members of the chorus presented 2 holiday songs. Progress 2 grades have been updated in Skyward. Parents were contacted earlier today, alerting them that grades in Skyward have been updated to mark the Progress 2 grading period. Approximately 12 of our OTC cadets will be participating in a Wreaths Across America ceremony at Slater Park tomorrow. The event is being hosted by Goff Middle School. And finally, this Thursday, our college guide will be scheduling private FAFSA appointments for seniors preparing to apply to college. And that concludes the month. Thank you.
Bye. And do we have a representative from Jacqueline M. Walsh School for Performing and Visual Arts?
Hello, my name is Delana Degnan, and I am a senior theater major at Jacqueline M. Walsh School for the Performing and Visual Arts. We had another hectic but very exciting month at JMW. First, we held our prospective student open house on November 18th and had an amazing turnout. Our application deadline for the 2022 to 2023 academic year was Friday, and we are looking forward to auditions in the new year. On the same day, November 18th, our students enjoyed the R-Mark and Farm Fresh RI Thanksgiving lunch. It's very yummy, I was there. Our student council held a food drive, and we donated many items to the Pawtucket Soup Kitchen. We are planning on partnering with them more in the future. Our dance students participated in the National Honor Society for Dance Arts Love Your Body Week and wrote compliments to themselves, words of encouragement to others, and I can statements that were displayed on the dance room mirrors. Our music students were excited to perform at the opening weekend of Pawtucket's Winter Wonderland on the 4th and perform today for the RISCA. Sophomore dance major Katrina Theth was the top winner for the 2021 Ohio University choreography competition. With this honor, she will receive a talent scholarship of $10,000 per year if she chooses to attend Ohio University and the College of Fine Arts. Additionally, she will have the opportunity to perform her solo, a lyrical piece that was a response to the hatred and injustice towards people of color and embodies hope in the face of loss, in the Ohio University School of Dance Movement concert, and will receive a full tuition scholarship to the 2022 School of Dance Summer Dance Institute. Our mock trial team took home their second win this past weekend. And finally, we are excited for the upcoming production of Little Mermaid, which will be in May. Auditions were yesterday, and it was great to be back auditioning for a citywide show. Some of the upcoming events that we have going on, Student Council is hosting a very short Holiday Spirit Week next week. Although the students are still in the process of voting on the themes, the current winners are Holiday Pajama Day, Ugly Sweater Day, and Fancy Dress Day. Our winter culmination will be a virtual event this year. However, in addition to a shorter culmination video, we will be live streaming a production of Antigone put together by our sophomore theater majors on December 21st and a dance and choral performance on December 22nd. We've had a great first semester and we look forward to upcoming events in the coming months. Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is presentation. Ms. Rabbit, do we have a presentation this evening?
We do. We have a transportation by Lisa Ramsey and by Lynn Christino about our transportation system and some exciting new.
So as you're all acutely aware, Thank you for having us. As you're acutely aware, in our new contract, we added an element to the parent option, and that is to have a first view tracking opportunity for all our first student bus transportation. Unfortunately, statewide hasn't jumped on board yet, but they're looking into it for our statewide transportation. So Lynn and I are going to walk you through the various elements of first view, what it means for our parents and our students, and we're looking for a little bit of publicity from all of you. So I'm going to turn it over to Lynn because she has a great deal of working knowledge about the app that we have for our first students. I think this is my slide, Lynn, right? So we rolled this out in October. We got going with our student population, got all the bus routes organized. As you know, there is a national bus driver shortage. So our first student, Pawtucket, did a wonderful job in balancing our routes so they can accommodate our students, and the majority of our students, all the students, without any major delays to their transportation. So once we got that all ironed out and we leveled out our routes, we decided that we would do a big push for the first view app. We notified our families through school messenger. The letter that we sent out is been handed to you for your viewing, because there's something in there that you might have a little bit of homework later on. And now tonight we're doing a school committee presentation, and we're ready for a second push of our information.
Okay, so as you see, there are two pieces to this. There's the First View app that's for families, stakeholders, guardians who want to be able to track the buses. And then there's also a district dashboard for our school staff, where they have a little bit more capability of tracking all of the buses rather than individual. So first of all, on the app, we rolled that out in mid-October, and this is what we notified families via school messenger. And we put links in our district code on our website. So that's what Lisa was referring to, that if you hear of anyone who's saying, I'm trying to use the app, but I need a code, it is right on our website, our student transportation page. The code is right there.
And we also know that you speak to a lot of our parents on a pretty regular basis. If they're having any kind of issue with that and they need the code, you can tell them it's a little 4-digit code, and it's right in front of, right on the paperwork.
So there were two ways to go. One was that you would need your student ID number, and you would have to put the student ID number to be able to get into the app. After discussions with First View, you basically needed anybody's code to get into the app, which we thought was kind of silly and would take away a lot of making things easy and accessible to families. So we went with the district code.
We didn't want any identification to any specific student and give any parent the thought that they would be tracking any one particular student, because this is a bus tracking, not a student specific tracking. So the district code made a lot more sense.
So it's available for iOS and Android phones. Little pitch there. You can add multiple students. So this is a picture. It's actually a screenshot of my phone. You can add students, but your tracking follows the GPS on a bus. So again, as Lisa said, it's not connected to individual students. So if my student was not at school that day, I would still get notifications about the bus. It does not know whether my child is on the bus or not. So you can see a couple of samples that I added, just sample kids. I can check on where they are up on the map, and those move as the kids move. And I can set up notifications. So families can go in and they can set a notification and say that I want to know when the bus is reaches a certain point. So you can create like a geofence, and you can say, this is where I am. So I set 286 Main Street, and I want to know when a bus gets within 750 feet of me, a specific bus, between certain times. So if my child does not take the bus in the afternoon and I don't care about the bus in the afternoon, I don't have to know about it. I've used this when we have families who said the bus isn't coming, they haven't picked up my child. So I walk them through the app, but I also set it online because I want to be able to get notified to find out that the bus really is going by and see if it's that they weren't didn't go the right time, if the bus was going to a different street. Sometimes we find with apartment buildings, that they're waiting on one side of the building and the bus is waiting on the other, so that helps us figure that out as well.
Yeah, it's really helped us problem solve some of those issues when students or parents are telling us, my child hasn't been picked up, and exactly that. We looked at the map, and the apartment has 2 doors, one on one side, one on the other. Bus was actually going to the other side, or the kids were waiting on the other side, so that was an easy fix for them. So it was something we had very tangible, hands-on, in the moment, live data that we could share with the parents.
So also for the notifications, then, like I said, you can set a specific location and it lets you know when you're there. It also just does a pop-up on your phone and lets you know that it's reaching that location. If you have notifications allowed on your phone, obviously not everyone would want that. So that was the app for the family, and if you have any questions, that's as easy as it is. You go and say, add a student, you call it anything you want. It's not associated with a real student name. You can put in your child's name, or as you saw, I did test D. You choose the bus, and you're done. Or you say, I want to set up a notification, tell me when it's here, and you're done.
So you enter the student bus number,
Correct.
and so all of our students get on the same bus number. There's never an occasion where a different bus is routed to Pawtucket with a different number.
That's a great question.
So it really was a good question.
Yes, that does happen. And so what happens is one of the things that we'll show you from the district dashboard, I'll jump ahead, but what the bus company can do is they can force alerts to people following buses. So if you are following bus 31 for your child, bus 31 broke down, not with your child on it, but they're going to send 27 in its place, you would get a notification saying bus 31 students will be picked up by bus 27. Sometimes it says approximately 10 minutes late or at the same time, but everyone who's following that would get notified.
So, I mean, I think it's a great tool for the district to have. I question that you can pretty easily identify a student by in other words, if my neighbor's child gets on the bus on Daggett Avenue, I can pretty much safely assume that the rest of the kids on Daggett Avenue get on the same bus, no?
Probably.
What's the benefit to the families, I guess, is?
So we post our bus routes at the beginning of the year. They're on our website. So if we'll send you an email or a letter, and we'd say, dear family of this child, your child has been assigned bus 21 in the morning and bus 21 in the afternoon. The pickup time is this and the drop-off time is this, right? We send that. So you know, all right, so now, all right, little child, you're going to get on bus 21, we're going to go to this corner stop. It shows you, we post on our website the stops, where it starts, what time it goes through every stop. So the streets are already there. All this app does is give you the notification, and it's really helpful if the bus is running late. You can say, oh no, it's on Goth Ave, and it's supposed to be, it's going to be to us very, very soon. So yes, the geographic area is your neighbor.
But, so 2 follow-ups to that. One is, what's the distance for the geofence? I mean, you can't set it for.
You can get to within 250 feet, I think is the smallest.
But how wide of a net can you cast? So you'll know where the bus is throughout the city.
So, yes, if you don't set a geofence, it would just look like this up at the top. You would follow it along the city. So my green student, I'm following the green bus. My purple student, I'm following the purple bus. I have a pink student, and you can't see further down, I'm following the pink bus with no geofence set up. That is only if I want to get notified once it is within a certain area.
So what prevents us from, my child gets off on Main Street every day, but I happen to be on the other side of the city, and I see their bus is close to that, just saying, get off at the next stop, and I'll pick you up. I mean, like, to me.
You can't do that. You mean text your child and say, get off at the next stop?
Right. In other words, you look and say, boy, I'm closer now than if they were to get home, so just.
So there's bus rules for that, right? So students can't be dropped off without a parent unless they're 4th grade or above, and they have a note from their parent, and the yard has it, we have it on record, 4th grade, right? So 5th graders can walk, but bus drivers are also, they have a route list and they have a stop list. So you can't just say without a note, you can't text your child and say, oh, I want you to get off at the end of this bus's route because I'm going to be there, and that way somebody's home. You can't do that. The bus driver won't let them off. They'd circle the child back to the school before they let them off at a stop that doesn't belong to them.
So the bus driver checks off this stop, 4 kids should be getting off, 1, 2, 3, 4, they get off and,
Yes. So
okay.
every stop has a student list.
Got it.
So if it's a depot stop, they have all the students that are going to get on that depot. If it's a house stop, they know that's a house stop.
Okay,
Let's start ready to.
thank you.
So is it only the parents who have students on buses have access to follow-up? In other words, I have a granddaughter, if she were to take a bus,
If you know the bus number she's on and you know the district code, you can track the bus.
okay, so what's to stop somebody, anybody, to track a bus with a kid? Okay,
We do know,
so it doesn't provide security.
well, we know if you sign up, right? Well, first you know if you sign up, and we can see all the people who sign up, and then we'll go into that a little bit, how to sign up. It's security, but it really only tracks the bus, right? It doesn't track who's on the bus. It doesn't track anything necessarily about the bus other than where it is. A general GPS system. So it's not going to say, oh, Erin Dewey's child is on the bus and I'm going to follow that bus. You can find bus routes, they're public, right? The bus routes are public. So if you wanted to follow, track a bus, you could. Now it is illegal to drive behind a bus. Right? So if a driver or a monitor notices that there is a specific car following a bus, that they have protocols for that.
When the buses get to the house and there's an adult there, do the bus people have to know who that adult is? Or would they just leave the child with any adult? Say my child's in 3rd grade. There's a person at my house. I'm not there. Or say I'm running late and I don't know, say I have an ex-husband who wants to see the child or something. So they get to the house, the child gets off the bus. Do they need to know who, or are there any safety, procedures in place on who to leave the children with?
So at a house stop,
Either a house stop or a depot stop. A depot stop, I would think it'd be a little bit more confusing because there's more children.
so the bus monitors and drivers get very, very accustomed to the people who generally pick them up, right? So they do have procedures in place. Now, if it was a house stop and that person was coming out of your house, they'd probably route the student off with the person coming out of your house. But if there's any alerts that they need to know about, or the child is apprehensive in any way, now some of the younger children aren't going to be apprehensive, but if they're apprehensive in any way, they have procedures for that. But specifically, if a child was brought to your house and they didn't recognize that person, they may ask that person who they are and what their role is.
But there's no procedures in place that handing that child over to whomever is there that could keep it from being
One thing
done.
that happens when if they are going to drop off a child, the parent isn't there,
Mhm.
they call to us, to Karen Gerber, if she's there, or me, and they'll ask us, it's Skyward. They usually have a phone number, they see in their system, a first phone number, but then they'll ask us for emergency contact, for us to call someone, or they bring the children back to the school until they can be picked up.
Right, but I think my question is more of a person being there. Because I know, like, for example, when it comes to school buildings, we have who the kids can be taken out with. So I'm just wondering if there are any procedures in place in regards to leaving the student.
So that same procedure would be applied, right? So that same procedure would be applied because they don't recognize, you're always there for your child to be picked up, and then you're not there, and you say, text Mr. Knight, can you run to my house? They're not going to necessarily believe him because he's not on the emergency list.
But in the beginning of the year, they're not very familiar with who,
That's correct.
so how would that happen?
That's a good question. We can ask about it. I know what I've told families that we had a family and there was a babysitter who was there in the afternoon. And so we asked for her identification, her information. We put her down as an emergency contact with her photo of her license so that she could be released to that person.
Because I know at the beginning of the year that the buses, the first 2 weeks aren't, they're very interchangeable. So the first week of school, when the bus comes, they'll tell you right out, we might not be your bus driver next week. So the first few weeks or even the first month of school, you could have all these different bus drivers. So, and people not necessarily, if you're coming home from work, you're driving on the street and you come around and come, it just seems like there's not really any procedures in place for safety with bringing the children back to the depots or the bus stops, that it's more of a...
If they don't know, if there's no parent, and they don't know or guardian or generalized person, they'll bring the student back to the house, the school.
But I think at the beginning of the school year, I don't think they would really know who the parents are, especially if they're interchanging, over the first month. So it could be a concern.
We'll have to find out about that because they do have VersaTrans is the system that they use, and it does have the parents' information in there that they can they're supposed to be accessing. So I don't know what they're doing as far as asking them for identification or anything like that at the very beginning. I know I spoke to one mother at a really large depot stop that we have because she was in a panic that she was going up to the bus stop. There are several children at this bus stop. The monitor saw her, the child got off, and the child went in a different direction than the mother, and they ended up connecting. But I was talking to the mom about it, and I said, well, what happens at a stop that big? Do they know who's there? And she said, oh, this monitor, she knows everybody, and unless she sees me, she wouldn't let the child get off, because that's what I was questioning. This is a stop with, I think, 40-something kids getting off at that same stop. So the mother was actually very complimentary about the fact that monitor, unless she saw that mom, but I know your question is kind of how would she know the mom at the beginning?
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we started this process together this year, as you're aware. And Lynn started a little bit. She hasn't had a beginning of the year yet. She came on board a little late. So that's a really great question. I know that they have a procedure for that. So what we'll do is we'll share it with Diana and get that straight from first student.
And just to follow up on Ms. Grant's kind of concern, if we have any restraining orders or items like that that parents have shared with us, that is communicated with the bus drivers as well, yes?
Yes.
If there's concerns that the family has shared about, okay, thank you.
We do let families know that if, actually this kind of blends a bit into registration, but if they ever share a concern about a parent, we ask them if they have a documentation so we can upload that right away. And we do let them know that we need that documentation, and an alert is set up that will pop up right away. But we do need that documentation. I can't just be angry with my spouse one week and say he can't pick me up.
Yeah, no, so I got it.
Yeah, as speaking about those official documents, but those would be shared with first student, yes?
And it's thinking of that.
Okay, okay, thank you.
So the dashboard for the schools is slightly different. We have to set up user accounts, and not everybody in the school department has a user account. So it's just the administrator and the clerk and another identified person that runs their busing. So they can see the district dashboard, they can see the different buses and where the buses are. So it really helps them when they get calls from parents to say, my student isn't home yet, and they can pick up the bus, or they can pick up the dashboard and say, oh, they're 3 stops away for you. So it really kind of puts a lot of parents at ease. For our school staff, that they're able to answer a lot more questions, and it makes for a far more efficient process than to call Mrs. Gerber. Mrs. Gerber calls the yard calls the bus who can't talk on the phone when they're driving. And it's this whole very convoluted system, but now the schools have a lot of power to say, yep, they're right there, they're very close. So that's a really powerful tool for them. So this is just a couple of the live tracking options that you can see. Lynn took some screenshots for us, and it's like really very vague. It's a pinpoint. And it's a pinpoint on the display for where they are every few seconds, every few minutes.
It keeps refreshing every few seconds, and it also tells you if the bus opened their doors or not. It does not tell you if it, where a bus stop is, but it does tell you if they opened their doors and closed their doors, and you can click on any of those pinpoints.
And that's exactly what I thought too. Yes, we can make sure they do that.
And this is helpful because, as Ramsey said, I know we've gotten phone calls, and as we've gotten people used to being able to access this themselves at the school, sometimes they would say, oh, bus 42 isn't here yet. So we would look and say, okay, it's coming down, it's about to turn the corner, you should see it, you should see it, you should see it. Like, okay, I see it, and there it's there. So now the schools can do that themselves and be able to see those buses.
So if not this year, then in the future, I know someone talked about logging students into the bus when they got on the bus and when they exited the bus. Are we going to have a system like that available?
You mean an electronic scanning of some kind of system?
Well,
And they do log them technically. They put old fashioned, Joanne's on, Jay's on, Lee's on. Oh, turns out today Roberta's upstairs, So they do that, so we know who's on the bus.
but nothing that would put a Chromebook on the bus and so you can enter in that this one's picked up, that one. So when the bus drops everybody off, if there's a kid asleep in the back, there's no child that will be left on the bus because they'll have to physically monitor who comes on and who goes off.
Well, they do physically monitor. So I get your point. No, I don't know of that being in the future for it yet.
Okay.
However, in terms of keeping a little guy sleeping in the back of the bus, they do have to walk up and down and check as part of their close-up procedure. Because that's happened. I don't know what's happened, but it's definitely heard stories about that. So now the bus companies have very, very clear procedures about going through and making sure they're not failed.
But the monitors have a checklist of who gets on and who gets off?
Yes, that everybody who gets on, gets on.
Okay.
What about accidents? We received one today, and I know my child has been.
Accident, traffic, a few custom things that they can fill out saying bus 27 is running approximately 20 minutes late, and it goes out to everybody who's tracking that bus so that they know that that bus is late. So if there was some reason that the bus was delayed or something happened, they would send out a alert to everybody who has the app and is tracking that bus.
But don't you think that would, I know myself, if my child's on that bus and it alerts me that there was an accident or anything, doesn't that just kind of add that snowball effect of panic and? Okay.
It'll alert you that it's delayed. If there was a bus accident, humans would get involved in the phone calls.
Right, none of this is automatic. They could just choose, there are some templates that say like we have, due to mechanical issues, the bus is running late. But they typically just custom type it in. All the ones that I've seen have said bus 27 is running approximately 15 minutes late, just so people know, we know it's late, don't panic.
But if there was a bus accident, that we all would call the people on the bus. It wouldn't just be a robo alert. You might get a robo alert that it's late, but then you would also get a phone call.
Okay.
And I did say, which I know it's cut off a little bit on the screen here, but I said it's important to know that this does not take the place of school messenger that we use, that principals are using, that are sticking with Skyward, that they would send messages to every child, family who's on bus 27. This is an added thing. If you have it, great, but we don't assume that everyone has it, so they still get notified the old-fashioned way. So the principals, the administrators can still, through the school messenger app, say, send this message to every student who in Skyward is on bus 12. They do that separately. And we've been very, very direct in saying, don't assume that the alerts are coming from the bus company. That's an added bonus, but they're still sending those school messages.
Yeah, I was going to clarify that because I know when my daughter was riding the bus when she was in hold space, we did get just Skyward alerts that would say, bus 22 is running, 15 minutes late or something like that. And that just came to my phone just as a message. Okay, Mr. Knight?
That's my concern. That pings your phone individually?
Well, I don't have a smartphone. It was a voicemail.
Okay. For those that have smartphones, which most of us do, you're saying if I signed up for a student in my house, my phone would be identified by that number for a notification. Am I correct?
If you choose, yeah.
You don't have to opt into notifications, though, correct?
Exactly. You can say no, you can hit, and when you go to the site, it explains what's being shared, and you can choose not to download the app if you don't feel comfortable with what's being shared. You don't type in your name or your information, but of course, as we all know, if you're putting it on your phone, then obviously there's some connection to you, but you don't put in any personal information except when you create the account. But that's why it does say right on that first page, this is what you will be sharing. That's why it's also an app for families. We're not marketing this to students.
Mr. Knight?
If people have access to cell phone numbers, those are identifiable. Even if you say, I don't want you identifying me, they're still identifiable by that number.
So again,
What have they set up for, what have they set up for backstop so they don't do that and they don't sell that number for ads from, I don't know, Willie, Cheatham and Home or whoever?
and that's why the links that we have for the app go to the app. It's the company that oversees the app. They're the only ones who control. We don't see, when people create accounts, we see them listed, but we don't get any information. We can't reset passwords. We can't change anything. They get the notification when they agree to it that they go between them and First View to reset or to give them any assistance that way. We don't have access to that. But First View, they would have to agree to share that information.
Mr. Knight?
So once you sign up to this First View, if I were to sign up, once I signed up, they would have my phone number's information, which leads to me, and also leads to unwanted spam calls, etc. So are we telling parents this?
When they go through, they have to accept all of the notifications that says they will have access to this is what will be shared, and this is what will not be shared.
Are we notifying parents when we're selling this to them?
Well, when I've done it, I've actually walked parents through every step, and as they go through, and I say, okay, this is your choice. You can read what you're agreeing to, and they can choose whether they add it or not. Right, and it's not mandatory, and the First View has quality. But they also.
Are we explaining this?
Well, this isn't our program. This is First View's program. First View explains it to the parents.
Mr. Knight?
We know it's the parents that opt in, but as a school department, we're telling them they can opt in. So therefore, we hold some of the liability legally because we've basically sponsored the program. So I think we need to know both ends of this whole thing, whether or not we're protecting our parents and students from intrusion, or if we're just walking into the wall.
And I did ask about this because this was part of the first student contract that was signed before I came in, and Lisa was talking about the app, and she had checked in that people had gone through everything that was agreed to in the contract. So I'm not sure if we have any way to find out exactly if they determined anything that we should be doing differently, other than when they go to download the app, it specifically states to them what they're agreeing to.
Okay. Ms. Vanilla?
Is this
only in English?
The letter,
No, the whole program.
no, I mean, yes. The letter, the letter we asked for in Spanish, so we do have that in
Okay.
Spanish for the directions, unfortunately. But
When it says your bus will be late, that's in what language?
it's in English. But because it's probably a human being that's typing in it, but I do believe that you can,
Convert?
the parent can do that. I have a question. I think that's an excellent question. And that we're going to be on the phone with you tomorrow, because I do believe that you can translate that over when you're reading it. However, I do believe that the words are in English.
And I know when they first sent us the parent instructions, Lisa asked for them in Spanish and they didn't have them. So she said, well, we're not putting it out until we get them. So they did them for us. They created them in Spanish, which I'm sure we're not the only ones who are now asking for that as far as the instructions on the step by step.
But so I know when we send out a message through school messenger, we have the ability to translate that out. So I want to check on that. That's a good question. We'll get back to you on that. Thank you. That's pretty much first view. I did give you one full page of the dashboard so you can see what it looks like from the schools. They can go into the routes. I did want to point out that they can, if they click on school, it shows them the buses that are associated with that school. This is again just for the schools. They have to have a login and a password. This is not open to the public. They can click on routes and they can follow a specific route. Where it says students, we do not use that. You cannot track or find a student if you click on students. And then everything that they've given us has pushed parents that if they need any assistance to contact first view, and they have information there for us as well. It shows you at the bottom as buses are coming and going. If it's more than 5 minutes late, it does say arrive, so it's in red because it's more than 5 minutes late. If it's green, it was less than 5 minutes from their goal of when they would be there. And it's kind of like the Harry Potter map. When it's going, you just see these buses just moving around the city. So that is what the schools have on their end to be able to check on that.
I know that a lot of families, because this is in most other districts at this point and has been for several years, I know a lot of families were wondering when this was going to come to Pawtucket. So I am glad that it has come, because like I said, parents have asked why other districts who have first student have had this access. And so I'm glad that we do have this now for parents to be able to.
We do plan on doing another push
Mm-hmm.
To get more families on board. Now that it's up and running, and a lot of the information has been getting around, so parents might need another push. But we will ask for your assistance to share that code.
Yeah.
By all means. Yeah, like I said, for a lot of parents who have questions about things, I always tell them it's totally optional. This is not the solution for everything. If your bus is late every day, having the app tell you your bus is late every day is not a solution. But sometimes it does help. We have older kids on buses, and parents want to see. One of the principals was telling me that they heard the kids saying, like, oh yeah, well, my mom's gonna know what time the bus gets home because she's following, she's tracking the bus. They can't go to many buses now. If they're on, if the children are on that bus. Even if parents don't track it, it's been a game changer for the schools, right? Because the schools can answer those front-end questions. So it's really kind of showing that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one more question, if you can refresh my memory. Is this purchased by program, by bus, or by student?
So it's a fee by bus. It's $1.90. Right this year, it's $1.90 per bus per day. It's a fee that we get charged. So it doesn't matter how many people are using it. It looks to us, talking to them, that about a quarter of the families have downloaded it. Of course, they may have, deleted it and not using it anymore. But that's what we're getting from just general numbers. But again, we have no way of knowing which students parents have or have not accessing it.
So we're paying for this?
It's embedded in the contract.
Well,
It's in the contract that came
Right, at $1.90 per day, per school day or per day of the week?
Per school day.
And we have how many buses?
38, 39 right now. So it's over $11,000 for the year.
I was good with it until that. I think if First Student wants to be our bus vendor, I mean, this is as much a benefit for them as it is for the district. I don't see why we would pay, but it's neither here nor there. We've passed the contract, right?
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Right at the end. Okay, the next item on our agenda is approval of previous meeting minutes 11/9/21. Then a motion to approve by Ms. Moreno, it's been seconded by Ms. Grant and Ms. Bonolo. Is there any discussion? Ms. Lucy, please take a roll call.
Ms. Vanello? Mr. Charbonneau?
Yes.
Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Knight?
Yes.
Mr. Larby?
Yes.
Mr. Marino? Ms. Doobie?
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Next item is public participation. Ms. List, do we have anyone signed up?
No.
The next item is old business action discussion items, school committee policy second passage, ACE, policy regarding accessibility to district programs and activities.
Motion approved.
Then a motion to approve by Mr. Charbonneau, it's been seconded by Mr. Larby and Ms. Grant. Is there any discussion on this second passage? Mr. Larby, anything to add on this one, or?
Nope, nothing.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Lucy, please take a roll call.
Ms. Vanello?
Yes.
Mr. Charbonneau?
Yes.
Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Knight?
Yes.
Mr. Larby?
Yes.
Mr. Marino? Ms. Doobie?
Yes. The second passage carries unanimously. The next item is new business action discussion items, approval of uniforms, shirts, and pants facilities department. Ms. Silva?
Not bad. I come before you tonight to ask for permission to use our place tuxedos for our uniform shirt and pants. We went out with an RFP for uniform shirts, received no responses, and then we checked the MPA for a vendor, and there was nobody on there. We have used our place for the last 3 years, so what we did is we reached out and asked them for a quote, what they would quote us for this year, just for this year. And the response to our request was, it's a quote that's approximately $850 more a year than it was from the contract we signed 3 years ago, because we had the same price for the same 3 years. So if this wouldn't be signing the contract, this would just be using them for this school year, since nobody responded to our RFP.
Got a motion to approve by Mr. Charbonneau, it's been seconded by Ms. Grant, Ms. Marino. Ms. Mill, you have a question?
Yeah, so if it's 850 more annually,
Yes.
so what was the previous price?
The previous price on average was $4,259.85 per year. The new price would be $5,114.13. It actually is an increase of $854.28.
And how many staff is that for?
It would be 67.
Ms. Grant?
And how many outfits do they, or is this just for the pants, or how many?
It's optional on what they get, but we offer two extra shirts and 1 pair of pants per year. When they start off, we give them 2 short sleeve shirts, 1 polo shirt, and 2 pairs of pants, I believe.
Mr. Charbonneau? Oh, sorry. Ms. Grant, were you?
Oh, I was going to just say thank you.
Okay, Mr. Charbonneau?
Chris, where is our place tuxedo?
It is in Centerdale. It's right on the Rotary on 44 in North Providence.
No, nobody in Pawtucket can do this?
They probably could. We could reach out to them. like I said, we
I
said,
mean, essentially, it's a 23% increase
yes,
just for this year.
yes, but this was the price that we were paying 3 years ago also. So,
Right, but we locked into a contract
yes,
for that 3-year period.
For the
So
3-year period.
They got 14,000 from us over the 3 years.
Exactly. If the committee would like, we can reach out to more Pawtucket companies and see.
I would ask that if
Okay.
the committee would indulge, I'll withdraw my motion to approve, and I would ask that we send this back to facilities, just.
Motion table.
Second.
There's been a motion to table by Mr. Knight. It's been seconded by Ms. Vinolo and Mr. Marino. Ms. Lucy, please call.
Ms. Vinolo.
Yes.
Mr. Charbonneau.
Yes.
Ms. Grant.
Yes.
Mr. Knight.
Yes.
Mr. Larby.
Yes.
Mr. Marino.
Yes.
Ms. Doobie.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, the next item is health and safety upgrades to special needs space at Tillman High School. Ms. Grant?
Yes, thank you. On Wednesday, I had the opportunity to meet with Mr. Savastano and the special ed director, Dr. Mark Andrade, and some of their staff. I know over the past couple of years, in regards to just buildings in general, fire alarms, electricity, we've been very on top of safety when it comes to that. But I think one thing we have forgotten is that safety comes in many different ways. And unfortunately, of my tour of these classrooms and facilities, I was very disappointed to see the many safety concerns that myself had. And I brought to the attention of Dr. McWilliams, Mr. Savastano was there, and Dr. Mark Andrade. Myself and I hope Madam Chair will continue to go. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to make it. But we'll be making trips to a lot of these schools due to the funding that we will be getting to see if we can hopefully help and upgrade. And my hope is that I do not find what I found at Tillman. Unfortunately, no lifts, people, our staff picking up or transferring students. These are young men and women that they're transferring that are even in the PT/OT rooms, there wasn't even one lift. The privacy, I know 3 years ago, myself and Mr. Marino took a tour of Tillman, and there was one brand new bathroom. We did have a prior superintendent at that time, and I myself shared that, where's the lift? Where's the tables in these bathrooms? These are young men and women. Since then, there has been another bathroom done over at Tillman. And again, no lifts, no tables. There's a lot of reasons why I'm very disappointed, because I'm wondering where everyone is, saying, hey, this isn't right. Privacy is a big issue. If we have these new bathrooms there, we should have the items in place. One of the classrooms had a table. They were changing the young men and women in the room. The table didn't even go up and down. That's a back issue. These are issues that can come back to us. The students can get hurt. The staff can get hurt. So I had a couple of conversations with Dr. McWilliams, and I specifically asked her tonight that I needed to know what the plan was, because unfortunately, we can't continue this. This is something that was not brought to anyone's attention. Or if it was, it wasn't brought to our attention. And I need to know when these lifts are going to be in place, what the plan is to continue the safety for our staff and our students until these things get in place. If we cannot in this district provide for these students like we provide for our typical students, then we have a big problem. Whether these students all have to be placed out of district until these safety issues and upgrades are done, then that's a conversation that needs to be had. Because on our end, we could be liable for this. We're fortunate up until this point, but I'd like, and my hope is, I know Assistant Superintendent Rabbit is here representing for the district. So hopefully, I'd like to, and like I said, I explained to the superintendent last week that I need to know what the plan is, what the timeline is, and what's going to be put in place, because there are decisions that will need to be made for these young men and women at Tillman. And I will continue to go through the district to make sure that these safety upgrades or safety is in place and privacy. So Assistant Superintendent Rabbit, I'd love to hear what the plan is.
So I'm going to ask Mr. Silva to come back to the podium.
Okay.
This would be a facilities project.
Okay. So he has all the answers
Possibly as well.
to the
You
questions.
can ask Dr. Andre to come to the podium as well.
Good evening. So Ms. Grant has asked if there is a plan in place or a facility plan or, I don't want to paraphrase your question, but you want to know what is, since that, what has been agreed on to move forward?
What's the plan? What's the safety plan? What's been ordered and when will they be in? And do we need to look for, alternative places or classrooms or schools for these children, for these young men and adults until these safety needs are taken care of? Like I said, I have an email, Dr. McWilliams last week. I spoke to her and I told her that I did not want to discuss it until the meeting tonight, and I wanted to hear what the plan was.
After we debriefed last Wednesday, we immediately had a conversation with the superintendent, myself, and the principal. And at that point, we recognized that compared to the standard that we see here at Jenks, which was the previous bathroom that you were just referencing earlier, that we wanted to look at what the determination would be as far as cost analysis to basically mirror that exact design and implement that at Tillman. So at that point, we reached out to Mr. Cody, and I think Mr. Silva can speak to the next step.
Yes, and the cost estimate is for a complete renovation to have it like this would be $75,000 to $100,000.
So didn't you just have the men's room done over at Tillman?
At Tillman, it's been, I think, 3 or 4 years. It's been a few years.
And when that was being done, none of this was taken into consideration?
I wasn't part of the plan on that.
Okay, so in regards to lifts, like I said, I walked into it's the cleanest PTOT room I've ever seen in my life. There was just one table there, and it was probably 5 inches off the ground. So where's the lift in that room? When will that lift be placed in, and has it been ordered? And,
So prior to looking at exactly what we're going to order, we're reaching out to the professionals, the PT, the OT, and the related service providers to determine what their quote-unquote wish list would be for that particular room. Upon receipt of that, we'll then reach out to Chris, Mr. Silver, and then we'll bring it to the school committee's attention with our list.
Okay, and then I was told by Dr. McWilliams that in the nurse's room, there is a table that goes up and down. Has it been moved? into the correct proper room? Maybe Mr. Savastano could answer that question, but this is his high school.
Good evening, everyone. What was the question exactly?
So in the classroom, there is a table that is being used to change the young men and women's, and the table does not go up or down. But I was told the nurse's office has one, but I was told by Dr. McWilliams that it was going to be switched into the classroom. Has that been done?
It is not, I'm not even aware of a table in the nurse's office that goes up and down. They might have like a, what looks like a hospital stretcher that goes up and down, but not a table with the dimensions of the one in the classroom.
Well, I understand that this issue is something that we have to look at and get straightened out, but it's not only at Tillman, it's in some of our other schools also. But right now, the state of Rhode Island has tied our hands. As we learned at the last meeting, our funding is tied up until, for these renovations, is tied up until they release it. I agree that this needs to be done, but it needs to be done in all the schools, not just Tillman, not just Shea, all the schools. And I agree that if we do build the special needs campus in the future, it will be articulated there.
So I'd like to just.
I share Ms. Grant's frustration that we spent a lot of money renovating bathrooms to hear that we don't have privacy rooms and adequate changing lifts. I think, and at this point, I mean, this committee's, we've done a lot of work throughout the district, and you know, and I think it's great to get people together to create a wish list, but we've got to start moving the ball on this thing. So I would motion that we authorize Ms. Devine to, not that she's here tonight, but that she take $1 million from the capital reserve and dedicate to buying lifts, privacy shades, whatever it is that we need district-wide, not only at Tillman, but for every school. $1 million to get us started buying equipment from our capital reserve fund. I believe we can allocate it. I believe it's money that we've put aside for these very scenarios. I think $1 million gets us started. Maybe it's not enough, but for all the work we've been doing in this district, it needs to impact every student that attends this district. And I'm disappointed, you know, and listen, I look in the mirror because we've all been sitting here for years as these renovations have occurred. And to the fact that this has slipped through the cracks with us is on all of us. So that would be my motion, that we allocate tonight $1 million out of the capital reserve to buy special needs equipment district-wide, and we do it forthwith, that we get this ball rolling quickly.
And this comes back to the school committee, or this is the approval.
I would say we allocate $1 million, and then we ask Dr. Andre to come back here with a list of what they're buying and when the timeline is.
Okay, there's been a motion by Mr. Charbonneau to allocate money and then come back for approval with allocate $1 million and then come back for approval with a list of items.
Correct.
Okay, that allocation has been seconded by Mr. Knight. We are now in discussion. Ms. Benola and Ms. Grant.
So, Dr. Andre, Chris, and I'm sure it'll involve John, and I would hope Ms. Grant, but I would like to see an inventory of all of the special education, the special needs classrooms, bathrooms, areas where these students are expected to function and grow, and what exactly we need in all of them. So it would be to set up a timeline to start looking, and not a timeline that expands for more than a month.
Okay.
I'm sorry to apologize for interrupting the discussion.
Okay.
I'm just bringing the committee's attention to how this is categorized on the agenda,
Mm-hmm.
specifically Tillman. It sounds like the vote, which sounds like the,
Yes.
something necessary for the committee to consider,
Mhm.
applying to the entire district, go beyond what is on the agenda and what the committee should vote on.
Okay. Legal is letting us know that to vote to allocate money for special needs upgrades throughout the district hasn't been noticed, that our agenda item only speaks about special needs space at Tillman High School.
All right.
So I would entertain an amendment to the motion or withdrawal of the motion, and then possibly a beginning with just speaking to Tillman and then putting on the next agenda an expansion of this program.
The problem is that I think, with all due respect to Mr. Knight, these are safety issues, and that's what I'm talking about. Like Mario, who was here a couple of weeks ago, he had stated that RIDE did not put a stop on safety issues. And, teachers pulling their backs out, teachers picking up young men and women out of wheelchairs that weigh 100 and 150 pounds. If you've ever done it, I have a child who weighs 67 pounds. She feels like she's 200 pounds. It is not safe. We need, and I specifically told Dr. McWilliams that we needed this evening to have something in place, because this can't continue. Mr. Chavino, I want to thank you, and I do think we are going to need this money. I think Dr. Andrade, some conversations we've had, and myself and him are going to continue these tours, and we're going to, but the problem is there are issues now. And unfortunately, it hasn't been brought to our attention, and these issues have been in the schools for a while. And now that these have been brought to our attention, we cannot continue as a school district to allow our teachers and our therapists to continue to work in this manner, because it's not right. So we need lifts and things put in place right away. It's the privacy issue we can work on. We can, maybe they could get a better setup for that, and they could get a table put in, have it moved, because like I said, Dr. McWilliams is the one who said that she would have it moved. She told me the other day. But the safety issues is a real thing. And I need to know tonight, because I myself, if someone tomorrow, a teacher, a student, they drop a student, a teacher pulls out her back, that's on us. We know about it. We've been made aware that they're not using the proper procedures to transfer students, because they don't have the equipment that they need. And it's shameful, and it's very concerning. And I don't want that on me. And I would hope, you guys wouldn't want this on the district, but this could be very detrimental if we don't get these things in place. We could lose teachers, we could have lawsuits, we could have students hurt. These are things that need to be immediately taken care of. Ms. Manolo. Oh.
I'll withdraw, excuse me, Ms. Manolo. I'll withdraw my initial motion.
Okay. Ms. Manolo.
Okay, so my question is, it's under discussion, so.
It's new business and discussion, yes.
Okay, so.
It's an action
Can
item.
we add to the special meeting on the 20th, to the agenda, the disposition of our special needs areas within the district, so it can be addressed in bulk at that time?
My only concern with that is that we might not have full attendance at that meeting. And this seems to be an issue that many people want to be part of. And I would,
And I don't think I can get out to all the schools and look into it.
and so I think that it seems like what I'm hearing from this conversation is that the one immediate is what I'm hearing, that Ms. Grant is saying that she wants to know what can be done as soon as possible to remedy this. I'm also hearing that overall this committee is feeling that we should be moving to address this in all of our schools, and hence Mr. Charbonneau's motion to do that. And I think that that should definitely be on our January regular meeting as a full special needs, and then we could have Ms. Devine there as well to speak to it.
For this specific item, and since I withdrew my original motion, I'll make a new motion that we allocate $100,000 to address the immediate need for the purchasing of lifts, privacy shields, whatever it is that Dr. Andrade and the special needs staff at Tillman over the next couple of days decide that they need most right away. I think $100,000 for Tillman will get us started, and then, Madam Chair, to your point, we can revisit the item in January.
Then a motion, Mr. Charbonneau, to allocate $100,000 from the capital reserve to address the health and safety upgrades to the special needs space at Tillman High School, as have been outlined. It's been seconded by Mr. Knight, and we will be putting a full special needs on the January regular meeting. Discussion at this point. Mr. Knight.
I know we have to have a vote on this, but my question is, are we also going to send this to our facilities committee for, not necessarily facilities committee, but for reimbursement?
I think that Ms. Devine can speak to that, and
well, we have to authorize her as part of this. She's going to go to RIDE.
Oh.
Well, I think we also have to find out what the cost is and how quickly these things can come in. Because if these things can't come in for 6 months, then we have to do something about it. Well, you know, we definitely have to make a change. God forbid, a student gets dropped tomorrow, a teacher, and we have this meeting tonight and we're aware of it. I think we could be in a lot of trouble, but you know, this is something that immediately needs to be addressed. And I think it's far overdue, and I think it should have been brought to our attention a lot sooner. You know, Dr. Andre's fairly new to our district, but Mrs. Savastano has been in this school for how many years? And like I said, myself and Mr. Marino have visited it, and it's just shameful. It's just really shameful. These are safety issues, and some of our staff and our students could really get hurt from this. So I would hope that you know, the next time we meet, we have a plan, and if these are items that we can't make immediate or get and have in place immediate, then I think our committee needs to make some tough decisions to make sure that our students and staff are safe until these can be rectified.
See no other discussion? No other discussion. Ms. Lissu, please take a roll call.
Ms. Manolo? Yes. Mr. Charbonneau?
Yes.
Ms. Grant?
Yes.
Mr. Knight?
Yes.
Mr. Larby?
Yes.
Mr. Marino? Ms. Doobie?
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. We are now in discussion items. I know we usually take these all together, A through E, the monthly vendor reports, the budget transfer reports, the overtime report, the work order summary, and the enrollment suspension expulsion reports. Are there any questions for team? I know we have a few members not here. I know Ms. Devine isn't able to be here. Ms. Manolo?
I just have a question, and it's actually for Mr. Cristino. at the end of the enrollment, this month we have 8,312 students, but we have no idea, unless we dig back into paperwork, we don't have previous. Is there a way to get that?
Sure.
Thank you.
Seeing no other discussion on these items, our next item is executive session. And we're going to move past this. We don't need to take a motion to table this. We're just not going to take a vote to recess into executive session. We will take this up at a later meeting. So the next two items relate to that executive session. So we are now on superintendent's update. Ms. Rabbit.
Thank you. So first of all, I'd like to give a big thank you to Hasbro and the Hasbro Elves. We had a wonderful day of Hasbro Global Joy. It's an exciting event every year and for all of our students and all of our schools. So we really say thank you to them. They've been a wonderful partner to us. The superintendent's office wishes all of our students, families, and staff a wonderful and restful holiday.
Okay, school committee member updates. Ms. Vanillo.
It was nice to listen to the students from each school and the amount of giving that they do back to the community. You know, it's something nice that they've learned as the years from kindergarten on with Pennies for Patience. But it's nice to see that it continues and that they choose to grow in that area. Aside from that, I would like to thank all of our staff for everything you have done for us, for everything you have done for our children. And I know many of you have provided for Christmas for our kids and their families, and that is greatly appreciated. I hope your holidays are all wonderful. Thank you.
Mr. Charbonneau.
I will echo Ms. Bonolo's warm wishes for the holiday to our staff and our teachers, our administrators, the district family as a whole. The Unified High School Committee continues to meet, and some of you are on that committee with me, but there is progress, and we continue to meet on that front. And that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you.
I thought you had an announcement about your son now.
I will say,
Now that you brought it up, my son, I do want to acknowledge the faculty and the administrators, and having a son preparing for college, the amount of people who have made themselves available for him, and a shout out to Mr. Lobby's brother, who has been really helping my son navigate the college application process. So I appreciate that, and all the folks who have helped him along the way.
Okay. Ms. Grant.
Again, I think it's been a great month in regards to, you know, all the things that are going out and being done into the schools. I believe Agnes Little had a nice little function, and, you know, the holidays, and I hope everyone has a nice holiday. But I do also want to give a reminder, just kind of out to everyone, you know, as it stands right now, it is a very difficult time with COVID. And you know, we do need to make sure that, I know it's not always easy, but, you know, I've seen some pictures out there from middle and high school with these students wearing their masks down at their neck and their chins and their noses. And I think we really need to stay on top of them because we do want to make sure that the kids stay in school, get the best learning as possible, and try to keep them as safe as possible. So again, back to safety, that is something we all need to be aware of. So thank you.
Mr. Knight?
Merry Christmas to everyone. Happy New Year. Thank you.
Mr. Larby?
Everyone a happy and safe holidays, and enjoy the new year.
Mr. Moreno?
So, thank you, everyone, and happy holidays.
And I just want to echo what other people have said. I know that our teachers are pulling double duties and triple duties every day, and we all appreciate it so much. Our students appreciate it, and I appreciate it. So thank you for that. And I know Ms. Grant wants to make the motion to adjourn this evening.
I do. As we adjourn this evening, it was brought to my attention that a staff member who had given 35 years to our district as a teacher, as a principal, as an administrator, her mom passed away. And I think we should all take a moment of silence to recognize Kathy Seriani's mom, Mary Seriani. And I think I'd appreciate that.
Okay, we'll adjourn in a moment of silence. And Mr. Knight is indicating we will also stand up. Okay.